If you've been living under a rock, or simply made the wise decision to spend last weekend enjoying time with family, gardening, or doing whatever it is normal people do, you may have missed a rapid sequence of events that has almost certainly secured a landslide for Keir Starmer's Labour Party at the next election. It started, as political crises increasingly do, with a politician who was prepared to say something that is extremely controversial by virtue of being true. Suella Braverman, then Home Secretary, penned an inflammatory article in the Times on Wednesday in which she made a few statements of the bleeding obvious. What was it about her commentary that so disrupted the fragile fabric of our society? What did she say that had the media elite so incandescent with rage, choking on their quinoa salads as they tweeted their way into an aneurysm? Braverman dared to suggest that the police are not enforcing the law in a balanced way. As an example, she raised the disparity between the way BLM protesters were policed during the summer of 2020, when coppers routinely kneeled in front of them, and the way that anti-lockdown protesters were treated only months later when the police kneeled on them. So far, so inflammatory. She also went on to say that the public expect to see upcoming anti-Israel protests in London properly policed. Boo! But how did we get from Braverman's article to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak sacking her, appointing David Cameron, yes, David Cameron, as Foreign Secretary, and torpedoing his party's chances of even being competitive at the next election? If you're asking this question, you're suffering from a fundamental misunderstanding of how our media and political systems work. What happened over the weekend is that every single media outlet in this country went into overdrive to say that Braverman's comments are fueling the far right. If you're not entirely clued up on British political designations, in this country the far right generally refers to people who are racist and intolerant towards other ethnic and religious groups, people who harbour prejudice against sexual minorities, who consider women inferior to men and treat them as second-class citizens, and use violence to achieve their political objectives and incite violence in public. In other words, the far right has been on British streets for weeks now, chanting genocidal slogans, calling for jihad and saying things like "death to all the Jews" and "Hitler knew how to deal with these people." But that is, of course, not who the media mean when they talk about the far right. What they mean is a small number of football fans who like to get pissed and get into scuffles with the police. When these people did turn up, this was immediately taken as evidence that Braverman had incited a riot. Because if there's one thing we know about football hooligans, it's that they all have a subscription to the Times and take inspiration from powerful brown women. And so it was that the one politician in the Tory party who was actually prepared to stand up for the views of the majority of people in this country was removed, alienating a significant portion of the party's base, who will now vote for minor parties, or more likely, not vote at all in the next election. My congratulations go to Labour leader Keir Starmer, who is playing a blinder by staying silent and irrelevant throughout. I, for one, welcome our new Labour overlords. The only hope now is that they ruin the country so much over the next 4 years, we'll finally see sense and stop punishing politicians for telling the truth. If you enjoy these videos, you can get early access to them by being a Substack subscriber. Head on over there now.